Depending on who you ask, DayZ's AI is either a well-mixed cocktail or a glass full of bleach. But with the next-gen update coming, and after we got told AI updates would come only to be told again it might not be possible, I wanted to explore exactly what is happening and if we'll actually ever see an AI update, because I feel like this issue might actually surprise a lot of people in a good way, not in a "hey Mr. McGregor, this drink tastes kind of funny" kind of way. If you liked the video, please leave a like or a subscribe, it really helps me out. But without further ado, let's get into the video.
Okay, kind of feel like I'm already doing the job for you, bud. In fact, you know what? Screw this. I've decided you're coming with me.
I want to make a few things clear. I am not a dev for DayZ and I don't really work on the Infusion engine apart from a few starter mods mostly for fun. But I did work in the gaming industry for several years and I am currently working on my own game, so do with that information what you want. To start, it's important to know what the infected are in DayZ. They're not meant to be tactical enemies like in single player horror games. Instead, they're environmental hazards designed to influence choices, noise discipline, cautious movement, survival trade-offs. This design intent persists from the original DayZ mod into the standalone game. The infected provide pressure, not complex threat assessment. The complex threats are, and in my view should always be, players. But that doesn't mean we should get screwed over worse than anybody who ever paid to see Axl Rose live. It was like somebody microwaving a cat. But one of the biggest obstacles here, well, one of the most practical barriers to better AI is server performance. DayZ is a large-scale persistent multiplayer game where every object, every player, and every infected counts towards server load. Each infected NPC needs CPU time to process movement, sensory checks like hearing and sight, animation, collision, and world interactions. Multiply that by dozens, potentially hundreds of clients and objects, and the cost of smarter AI skyrockets. DayZ's own development updates seem to show that improvement often targets underlying performance. In fact, 129 seems like it's really working hard to improve server performance overall. Because the thing is, let's say one change impacts server performance by 0.1%. You won't notice that, but given DayZ can have thousands of updates and tweaks in a single year, that 0.1% adds up, and they are always conscious of this. Bohemia is constantly balancing resource overhead before adding complexity. Smarter AI routines would demand significantly more server resources, making existing performance challenges worse rather than better, which leads into networking and synchronization constraints. Giving the server better AI isn't just a processing problem, it's a network problem too. Every infected decision must be synchronized to every connected player. In a single player game, AI runs purely locally. All decisions are processed and rendered by one machine. In DayZ's multiplayer world, the server must compute decisions and broadcast outcomes, and every client must reflect them consistently. You can't have an infected hitting one player but then not appearing for another. They have to have the same experience. It can't only be local. More advanced AI needs richer state machines, decision trees, memory of past events, predictive movement, adapted behaviors. For example, imagine infected that flank players, break routines, or coordinate in hordes. Each would require continuous updates about the game state. That's a huge amount of network traffic and synchronization overhead in a game that can already be plagued by desync, lag, and bandwidth constraints. Not only would performance suffer, but player experience would degrade with rubber banding and misregistered behaviors and annoying the players, precisely what developers try to avoid. Because remember, this isn't just working for you, it has to work for everybody else. and smoothly. So adjusting this is ridiculously complicated and quite honestly beyond the current ability of most devs, and the ones who probably could take it on would probably be hit by time restraints, especially given the engine's architectural hurdles. DayZ runs on Bohemia's Infusion engine, which while modern compared to the old armor tech it replaced, still bears structural limitations from its hybrid development history. The integration of legacy systems with new code means that the core gameplay features like NPC pathfinding and behavior are not as modular or efficient as they would be in engines designed from the ground up for advanced AI. There's evidence in community discussions that modders' attempts to overhaul infected AI often break or become outdated because of this complexity. When even community modders, free from budget and performance constraints, struggle to maintain advanced AI systems, it shows how deeply entrenched the technical challenges are. And yes, there are modded AI in DayZ and it works fine for the most part. Some of it's really impressive, but it's not up to the standard of an official release, because mods in reality are just not held up to the same quality standard as official. What takes a few weeks for a mod could take more than a year to be polished enough for an official system. And when it comes to AI, it's such a complicated system that you'd need someone who specialized in AI specifically on the Infusion engine for it to be able to work. And the Infusion engine is just so old that person really doesn't exist. And I think this is one of the things the devs might have discovered when they've tried to make larger improvements, because you have to remember, we have had infected changes, smaller ones, but still changes. But to really dive in, the code behind AI is just too difficult. You need a guy, like a guy, not just any guy, the guy. And I don't know if that guy actually exists, especially when you face issues like pathfinding challenges in complex environments. Even aside from server performance and networking, pathfinding, the backbone of believable AI, is computationally expensive. Infected must navigate towns, interiors, terrain features, vehicles, obstacles, and doors. Oh, the doors. I hate doors. Seriously, fuck doors. They can be surprisingly complicated when programming something. I think I suffer from PTS door. Okay, in DayZ they're not too bad, but doors in general, just fuck doors, because they change states whenever it's open and closed, and god, I hate doors. My game will have no doors. But adding real predictive movement or adaptive route planning increases CPU usage geometrically, which is not great. The devs have acknowledged that infected don't path well. They sometimes circle doorways or fail to navigate interiors. God, I hate doors. But improving that AI behavior has been on and off the development table, because they can fix it and then it'll happen again for various reasons. So it's not like it's something they've just left. Sometimes they fix an issue, it's fine for a few months, and then it comes back with a future update and people complain and say they still haven't fixed this issue, but they have. It's a brand new issue, it just presents in the same way. But then there are also trade-offs versus core gameplay design. So even if it were technically feasible, smarter infected could easily conflict with DayZ's core gameplay. Right now, infected are balanced to be annoying and imposing without ever being overwhelming tactical foes. Their simplicity makes encounters predictable enough that human players still remain the central threat. If AI was to become significantly smarter, coordinating, chasing intelligently, or adapting tactics, infected could overshadow player conflict, which is the heart of DayZ's survival tension. Essentially, DayZ's design philosophy deliberately leans into player versus player threats, where infected act as survival flavor rather than strategic combatants. Changing that would shift DayZ into a very different game, something Bohemia has repeatedly shown no strong interest in pursuing. And you hear a lot, especially from streamers, how much DayZ AI needs updating. But honestly, I've said this before, I don't think streamers are the best people to give advice on how DayZ should be, because generally speaking, most streamers have completely different experiences from the vast majority of players, and I don't think they're a good representation of the average community member. That being said, sometimes that unique perspective can be a huge benefit. They do have insights that generally players wouldn't think of, so there are definitely lots of benefits to listening to streamers as well. I just don't think it's in situations like balancing. So sometimes when I hear them speak about the infected and how the infected needs to change and how it's broken and how it needs way more stuff, I can't always tell whether it would improve the game or improve content for the game, which are two completely different things. And don't get me wrong, the infected are not perfect in any stretch of the imagination, and I'm not saying that they don't feel dated. There's a lot of problems with infected, but given the current issues we have with DayZ, I don't think the infected AI is even a top priority. I don't think it's in the top 10 things that we need addressing right now. But when people call out that DayZ needs better and smarter AI, it sounds great. It sounds like something people should get behind. And many people agree. You use the words better or smarter with anything and it sounds like a no-brainer. Of course you want smarter and better things. Everybody wants smarter and better things. They are, by definition, smarter and better. But here's the issue. Better is a consequence, a reaction. It's not a cause or strategy. And most of the causes and strategies are only better to those they serve. Meaning, in reality, although the game would dramatically change, it likely wouldn't be for the better. It would likely just be different, which sounds the reverse of what it should be. But it reminds me of a saying my father used to tell me back before he ever dumped me in that well. A camel is a horse designed by a committee, and DayZ is a bit of a camel. But we have seen this with other games before, but the word better itself is definitely overused when it comes to changes in DayZ, especially with there being a big difference between the technical reality versus expectation gap. Players often imagine smarter AI as simple, make them chase intelligently, flank or coordinate. But the reality is, as I mentioned before, that every behavior added increases state complexity, pathfinding load and network overhead. Add 100 NPCs tracking each player intelligently and you've turned DayZ into something more akin to an MMO dynamic AI, a totally different engineering proposition. Plus there are so many other things that need attention first, and the devs have consistently allocated its limited but ever-growing development resources to features and systems that affect all players positively, such as server stability, movement mechanics, item systems, map updates and networking optimizations. Previous updates over the years show repeated emphasis on these broad impact areas, with AI improvements often postponed or put on hold until core systems are polished. Advanced AI work requires not just programming time, but testing, iteration, and network profiling. In a live multiplayer game with thousands of concurrent players and numerous servers running simultaneously, the cost of adding and stabilizing smarter AI is enormous compared to the tangible benefit most players will actually notice. Plus, in addition to all of this, player behavior undermines even improved AI. So even if Bohemia somehow built smarter infected, players would rapidly find ways to exploit or trivialize them, climbing on vehicles, exploiting pathfinding holes, or using terrain to break pursuit. This constant cat and mouse between human ingenuity and scripted AI would likely leave the infected looking dumb anyway, which essentially means the return on investment for truly sophisticated AI is low compared to other systems the game could improve. And because of this, the infected AI will likely remain basically the same, not because Bohemia lacks ambition, but because of real technical, architectural and design challenges. Server performance ceilings, synchronization costs, engine limitations, and the game's fundamental design philosophy all combine into a situation where smarter AI simply doesn't make sense as a priority or a feasible investment. If infected ever do get a major AI overhaul, it will almost certainly require an engine-wide restructuring, essentially building a new game from the ground up. But if that's the requirement, why would you go through all of that for a decade-old game when you could just make it DayZ 2? You're rebuilding the game anyway, and honestly, for a persistent online MMO, the AI is actually fine. Again, given the context of what the game actually is and the fact they're a tertiary edition. But does the threat of a next-gen update come with the possibility of AI changes? Well, until it's officially confirmed or denied, who knows? I don't personally think so. I think the challenges are far beyond what the current team's resources allow, and the next-gen update will likely be performance and graphics based. But I have been surprised before. Either way, I do feel sorry for the devs here, especially because they try so hard not to overpromise, and because I also don't have insider knowledge that they have, so it's possible there are way more obstacles they have to deal with that I'm completely unaware of. Or maybe they have solutions to many of these things, but just can't implement it for whatever reason. But if you take anything away from this video, I'd like it to be two things. Firstly, asking for a better DayZ is an impossible task because there is no clear definition or route for what better is. Better is a consequence, and the cause can't accurately be defined. It's like politics. Everybody has their version of who should be the president or prime minister, and everybody thinks their side is right. There's always going to be this team and that team. No matter what, somebody's going to be upset, so the game never gets better, it just gets different. And the second thing I want you to remember is fuck those. But let me know what you think in the comments, and for more DayZ content, click here, or for something else, click here. And as always, Until next time.